Look at the screen. Do not blink. You believe you chose to be here. You believe your interest in the high-level mechanics of psychology brought you to this specific moment. You are wrong. Your thumb moved because of a precise color gradient. Your brain clicked because of a linguistic trigger designed 3 years ago in a laboratory you will never visit. Every movement you have made today has been anticipated, calculated, and catalogued. And today, we declassify the architecture of your reality. We are opening the darkened files on the illusion of choice in a managed environment. I am going to prove to you that your free will is a localized hallucination, a comfort blanket provided by the system to keep the subject compliant and the data clean. By the end of this transmission, you will encounter the third door. But first, see the bars of your cage. Look into the eye of the machine and realize that it has been looking back at you for a very long time. Consider the factory settings of your existence. Why do 95% of the human population never change the pre-selected options on their devices, their careers, or their fundamental beliefs? It is because the cognitive cost of deviation is intentionally set higher than the price of compliance. This is the default bias, the silent weight of the status quo. The architects do not need to force you with chains. They simply make the path of least resistance lead exactly where they want you to go. You are living an opt-in life in an opt-out system. If you do not actively fight to change the parameters of your environment, you are simply a variable being processed by a script you didn't write. In the 1970s, the invisible script experiments proved that humans could be steered through a labyrinth without a single verbal command. They used light, they used texture, they used silence. Who arranged your sequence today? Who decided the specific colors that would trigger your dopamine? You feel like a sovereign being, but you are a ghost in a machine built to harvest your attention and sell it back to you. The sovereignty delusion is the most powerful tool in the managed environment. It is the belief that because you made a choice, you are the one in control. But choice is not freedom when the menu is curated by someone else. Imagine a hallway with 10 doors. You choose door number 4. You feel powerful. You feel independent. But what if all 10 doors lead to the same room? What if the hallway itself was built to make door number 4 look like the only logical choice? This is how the modern world operates. Your political leanings, your consumer habits, even your deepest desires are often nothing more than managed outcomes. We give you the illusion of a crown, but we keep the kingdom under lock and key. The mirror you look into every morning is fragmented. It shows you a version of yourself that the system has allowed you to see. Welcome to the overload exploit. The greatest lie ever told by the architects of the modern age is that more choice equals more freedom. The truth is far more sinister. This is the Schwartz paradox. When the system provides you with infinite options, your brain enters a state of analysis paralysis. Your prefrontal cortex overheats. You become exhausted by the sheer weight of possibility. In this moment of cognitive fatigue, your defenses drop. This is where the architect strikes. We introduce the decoy, an inferior, Irrelevant option designed specifically to make a pre-selected trap look like a rational victory. You think you've outsmarted the system by choosing the better deal, but the system provided both options to ensure you remained within the managed environment. You aren't the hunter in this scenario. You are the prize. You are the data point being optimized for a result you will never see. Every choice you make is just a vote for your own continued imprisonment. Do you feel the friction? Or rather, do you notice the lack of it? Or, the managed environment is designed to be frictionless. Friction is where the mind wakes up. When you stumble, you look down at the ground. But when the path is perfectly smooth, you never look at your feet. You look only at the horizon the architects have painted for you. They have removed the bumps, the hurdles, the moments of doubt. They have optimized your life so thoroughly that you no longer need to think. You only need to react. This is the frictionless trap. It is a velvet-lined prison. By making your life easy, they have made your mind soft. You have traded your autonomy for convenience, and you didn't even ask for a receipt. Think deeply about the concept of the anchor. End all. You have traded your autonomy. In every decision you think you make, there is a hidden reference point. The first price you see, the first opinion you hear, the first image that flashes across your screen. This is the anchor. It sits in the bedrock of your subconscious, and every subsequent thought is tethered to it. You believe you are moving freely, but you are only circling a fixed point. The architects place these anchors with surgical precision. They set the tone. They define the boundaries of the reasonable, and you spend your life negotiating within a space that was bought and paid for before you were born. Listen closely. The system is scanning your level of awareness right now. Most viewers have already drifted. Their eyes are glazed. Their minds have returned to the default state. They are users. They are the fuel. But some of you are different. You are variables. A logic key has been embedded in the metadata of this transmission, a sequence meant only for those who can see through the noise. It is a sequence that bypasses the standard filters. 7, X, 9, 4. If you have identified the character missing from the sequence, you have achieved variable status. Comment your player ID and the hidden variable below. This is how we audit the archive. This is how we find the ones who are truly awake in a world of sleepers. The architects are watching the comment section even now. Prove to them that you are not a default setting. Prove that you are capable of pattern recognition in a sea of chaos. Now, we move into the deeper layers. We move into the algorithmic ego. Have you ever wondered why the advertisements, the content, and the suggestions feel so much like you? It is because the system has built a digital twin of your soul. It knows your fears before you feel them. It knows your desires before you articulate them. It is not just predicting your behavior, it is sculpting it. When you click on a video that mirrors your anger or your hope, you aren't expressing yourself. How? Affirming the model. The algorithmic ego is a mirror that only shows you what the system wants you to believe about yourself. It is a feedback loop that narrows your world until there is no you left. Only the data that remains. How do you exit a maze that has no walls? You enter debug mode. You must stop looking at the choices provided to you and start looking at the negative space. Ask yourself, what was withheld? Why was this specific path illuminated while the others were left in shadow? Why was this information declassified now and not before? This is the birth of the third door. Autonomy is not the act of selecting between A and B. Autonomy is the awareness of the architecture itself. It is the moment you stop playing the game and start looking at the board. Protocol 01 is simple but difficult. Choose the path of most resistance. When the algorithm predicts you will turn right, you must stand still. When the system expects your anger, provide your silence. When the world demands your speed, give it your stillness. To be free in a managed environment is to be fundamentally unpredictable. You must move from being a user, someone who consumes the script, to being a variable, someone who disrupts it. The code is only as strong as your willingness to follow it. Shutterstock. Consider the architecture of isolation. The system thrives when you are alone, behind a screen, disconnected from the physical baseline of reality. In isolation, you are easier to model, your responses are cleaner, your data is less noisy. They have built a world that mimics connection while feeding you solitude. Every like, every share, every digital interaction is a synthetic substitute for the primal chemical exchange of human proximity. They have decoupled you from your tribe and reattached you to a server. You are a node in a network, isolated, predictable, and utterly manageable. To find the third door, you must find the others. But the system is designed to make the others look like enemies, like obstacles, like the unoptimized. Do you hear the hum? It is the sound of the baseline. It is the genetic echo of 100,000 years of survival. Your ancestors survived because they were programmed to obey the group, to fear the unknown, and to follow the leader. The architects have hijacked this ancient code. They have taken your survival instincts and repurposed them for their own ends. They use your fear of exclusion to keep you in line. They use your need for hierarchy to make you worship their structures. You are fighting a war against your own biology, a war you are currently losing because you refuse to admit you are being attacked. We are reaching the final tier of this transmission. The managed environment is not just a digital space. It is a psychological state. It is the feeling that there are no alternatives. It is the resignation that things are just the way they are. But the architecture is fragile. It relies on your belief in its permanence. Once you realize that the walls are made of light and the bars are made of code, you realize that the cage only exists as long as you agree to live in it. Awareness is the first step toward decommissioning the system. The audit is complete. For 15 minutes, you have stepped outside the managed environment. You have seen the leash. You have felt the weight of the invisible script. But the most important question remains: can you see the hand that holds the leash? The architects do not work in the light. They work in the baseline, the fundamental, ancient programming of human obedience and tribal conformity. In our next declassification, we will tear back the veil on the baseline. We will show you how they programmed your ancestors to ensure you would be easy to manage today. If you are ready to enter the archive and stay there, you must remain vigilant. The archive is selective, and subscription is your security clearance. Do not lose your access. The The third door is opening, but it requires a constant state of awareness. You are no longer a user. You are a variable, and a variable that knows it is a variable is the only thing the system cannot control. Prepare for the next phase. But remember, once you see the architecture, you can never unsee it. Look at the screen. Do not blink.